Recently, Singapore was ranked the happiest Asian country in the world and was the 25th happiest country out of 137 countries. When I saw this news, I immediately knew this was going to be spicy. On Reddit, me not being able to sleep well every day due to work anxiety. I'm so happy bro. Okay lor, you happy can liao lor. On Hardware Zone, Cai Peng $10 Jin happy. We are happy to pay more. And on Facebook, COE just hit 93k. Of course happy lah. Happy only if they can go shopping in Malaysia or Batam. So what exactly is going on? Why are there so many people who seem to disagree with the report? Are they just complaining like they always do? Or is there actually something more to it? So I started doing some research and I found quite a few reports that seem to go against this result. For example, a 2022 report showed that 86% of Singapore adults are stressed, well above the global average of 82%. In 2015, a survey by World Health Organization found that Singapore had the highest rate of depression in Asia. In 2021, the Institute of Mental Health found that there was an increase in mental health issues in Singapore. I don't know about you, but despite being the happiest country in Asia, all these reports seem to suggest that Singaporeans are not as happy as we think. Okay, to understand whether Singaporeans are truly happy or not, let's first find out how Singapore was awarded the happiest country in Asia in the first place. In the report, they look at 6 factors: GDP per capita, or what's the size of the economy and how the economy is performing, social support, is there anyone who we can rely on when we need them, what's our physical and mental health, do we have freedom to choose what we want to do with our life, what's the generosity level, because they found that the more generous the community is, the higher the happiness level. Do people trust their governments and have trust in others? And finally, are we living in a dystopian society or not? And the conclusion, Singapore scored well in many of these areas as it has good political stability, low crime rates, excellent healthcare, education, housing, recreation, and transport options, beating every other Asian countries like Taiwan, Kazakhstan, Japan, and even Malaysia. But the interesting thing is that while all the Asian countries are comparing with one another, the top countries were mostly Nordic countries like Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden. It's like how you are comparing yourself with your brother to see who's the most good-looking kid. Then all of a sudden, your neighbor Leonardo DiCaprio just walked past. And this is not just a one-time thing. The Nordic countries have been at the top for many years now, consistently beating the Asian countries. So why is this happening? And is there anything we can learn from them? Oh, I know, is it because all of them are rich countries? Yes, they're quite rich, but that's only part of the story. Because even though countries like US, China, and UK are some of the richest countries in the world, they are not the happiest countries. Everyone is looking for the best place to park their cash. But with bond yields going down and bank interest rates peaking soon, where else is a good place to earn higher returns on your idle cash? Let me share a lobang with you guys. Right now, Phillip Securities trading platform Poems is running a time-limited promotion where if you park your cash with Smart Park, you get to earn more than 4% per annum returns. The underlying fund is the Phillip Money Market Fund, which is known to be stable and very liquid. Best of all, with this promotion, you will get a rate that's currently better than most bank yields, bond yields, and even money market fund yields that other brokers are currently offering. All you need to do is sign up for a Poems account using my link down below, opt in to Smart Park, then deposit anywhere from $100 to $10,000 within a week. Keep the money there for at least 30 days and you will receive your returns after a month. Not just that, Poems is also one of the cheapest brokers that let you invest your CPF money at just 0.08% fee with no minimum commission. So if you are interested, you can download the Poems Mobile 3 app or use the web version to start your trading journey with Poems by signing up using my link down below. With that being said, let's get back to the video. So how did they become the happiest countries? Few reasons. First, healthcare is free in Nordic countries. Okay, it's not exactly 100% free. It's only free for some things like health examination, outpatient care, oral care, screenings, maternity, and child health clinic visits. They still have to pay for stuff like dental care, outpatient clinic fee, and surgeries. But even so, the fees cost very little. Meanwhile, in Singapore, even though public hospital bills are subsidized by the government, the fees can be quite expensive depending on the treatment. That's why insurance is a must-have in Singapore to prevent hospital bills from getting too expensive. And also, while there's subsidies for polyclinics, it's not a viable option for some as there's a lack of appointment slots and you would usually need to wait for days to even see the doctor. So most people would rather go to clinics to see a doctor, which usually costs a lot more. But how is this possible? How do they pay their doctors? With exposure? Of course not. The answer is taxes. In Finland, if you are earning 49k, you are in a 30.25% tax bracket. So 1/3 of your pay goes to the government. Meanwhile, in Singapore, if you are earning 49k, you will only be paying 7% tax. So that's a super big difference. Not only that, in Finland, whether you what big or what small, as long as you make money on your investments, you will be taxed around 30 to 34%. But in Singapore, there's no capital gains tax. Then there's also the value added tax, which is similar to Singapore's GST. In Finland, the VAT is 24%, but in Singapore, it's just 8%. So that's how many of the Nordic countries are able to provide free education and free healthcare. They do it by charging a super high tax and redistributing the money to where it's needed most. But why are people in Nordic countries okay with paying such a high tax? In Singapore, we raised GST to 8% and everyone already cry father, cry mother. One word, trust. In Nordic countries, the people there trust that the government is able to allocate the resources well. And by paying a high tax, they will be able to get good services in return. For example, they no longer have to worry about not being able to afford their kids' education and their hospital bills. When you have less things to worry about, you can then be happier. Second reason for being the happiest countries on earth, good work-life balance. People in Singapore be like, huh? What's work-life balance? Can eat one nah? Based on a study last year, Singapore is the most overworked country in Asia and has the longest working hours at 45 per week. Meanwhile, for Nordic countries, even at the highest, it's just 42.9 working hours per week, while the average is just 40.5 hours per week. This is definitely a cultural thing. Asian society focuses a lot more on wealth than others. Just look at our Chinese New Year song and you will see why. Everything is phát tài here, phát tài there. This is especially prevalent in Singapore, where our topics of discussion has always something to do with money, like upgrading to a condo, buying the latest iPhone, finding a good paying job, and retiring with lots of money. Not to say that it's a bad thing, but all that money talk drives us to work super hard, often at the expense of our health and happiness. Meanwhile, life in Nordic countries is a lot more chill. For example, did you know that in Finland, if you have a newborn, each parent gets 160 paid days off, which means that the total length of parental leave is 14 months long. This gives parents a lot more time to spend with their newborn. But in Singapore, maternity leave is only 16 weeks long and paternity leave is just 2 weeks long. Employers be like, you got baby yeah? Okay, can chop come back to work yeah? Besides that, the annual leave in Nordic countries is anywhere from 24 to 30 days long. So essentially, they get 1 month off every year. But in Singapore, we are officially entitled to just 14 days leave. Third, there's a famous line by a Finnish poet, which goes, don't compare or brag about your happiness. Many people from the Nordic countries don't compare themselves to their neighbors. Instead, they focus more on cooperation rather than competition. Unfortunately, this is a total opposite of how Asian society works, where since young, we are taught to be the best, otherwise we will lose the competition. As a result, we will glamorize wealth and envy those who do well compared to us. Of course, there are a lot more factors than this, like lower inequality, more affordable home prices, and more nature. But these are the 3 main reasons as to why Nordic countries are so much happier than Asian countries. So, with this in mind, what can you do? You stress? Don't stress lah. You not happy? Be happy lah. Just kidding. Back in 2008, a guy named Andy Gore was named Singapore's happiest person. Not too sure how he won that, but here's what he thinks. Many people in Singapore focus on the 5 C's: cash, credit card, car, condominium, and country club membership. On the other hand, he focuses more on the 4 F's: family, friends, fun, and food. While all these may seem super useless to us, especially in a society that focuses on meritocracy and gaining wealth, this is exactly the reason why many Nordic countries are ranked very high on the happiness level. When we focus more on experiences and relationships, we will feel a lot happier. But then, people will say, how to be happy oh? Singapore is an expensive country. Food prices are going up, housing prices are going up, everything going up except for my pay. Yes, those are real concerns. And with expensive healthcare, expensive education, and many other things. But if you look around, we will realize that Singaporeans actually have it better than most people. In Malaysia, people are still worrying whether the flood will destroy their homes or not. In Israel, people are worried whether their homes will be bombed next. Even in the US, the supposedly best country on earth, people are worried that the next school shooting will happen in their school. In Singapore, our worries are not that life-threatening, like our hawker food is becoming expensive, we can no longer afford a house of our choice, and our half-boiled eggs are not cracked open. All these are genuine worries, but they are more like first world kind of worries. It's bad, but not life-threatening. Despite all our complaints, sometimes it's important to remind ourselves that we get to enjoy a stable government, the world's strongest passport, a strong currency, a good food, though not as good as Malaysia, and a peaceful country, and personally, I think all these are worth being happy for. Anyway, do join my fast-growing Telegram group where we discuss anything related to happiness and money. Like, share, and subscribe as I'll be posting new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.